Hello, my name is Andrew. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I have decided that I'm gonna make a video showing you guys every single unread book that I own. Also, just want to inform you guys that I'm gonna have timestamps per genre, and as always, I completely forgot to mention what certain books are even about, so I will have a link to every single book that I mentioned in this video, and if it's a series, it's just gonna be the first book in a series, but it's going to be a link to like the Goodreads description of every single book that I mention. If anything about the book seems intriguing from what I say and you want to know more, you can check that out. If you want to completely skip a certain genre, then just check out the timestamps. I think you can even like scroll over the video to see what section I'm talking about, which genre, just for your information. I'm starting off with my biggest owned genre, which is fantasy, but I have a lot of unread books, and my intention with this is basically for you to shame me into reading whatever you see here that might be a favorite of yours, or any kind of book that just you want to see my reaction of, or anything like that. Yeah, so I'm gonna get started with I'm gonna do the fantasy, and then I'm gonna do the sci-fi, and then I have probably my second most is mystery thriller, and then contemporary, and then dystopian, and then historical fiction. I think I have like two. Starting it off with fantasy, I have the Arabian Nights, which I just barely cracked open, so I am currently reading it. Since there is quite a few books to get through, I'm not really going to be giving a whole bunch of synopses. I think something I'll do is try to say like 5 words or less about what I know about each book. So short story, everyone's a cliffhanger. I have the entire Mistborn trilogy. Sanderson, magic system, heist, world building. That is all I got on this one. Then I have the Night Circus, lyrical, historical fiction, magical competition, circus nighttime. That's all I know about this, really. I don't want to know a whole lot about books. I just want to know if it's your fave or not. And Ember in the Ashes. I honestly don't know anything about this. I think it's enemies to lovers, gods of Jade and Shadow, Pandora's Box, demon entering the world, maybe. And I think that she goes on a journey. Alanna, the first adventure, siblings switching places, the Princess Bride. I really don't know anything about this other than you killed my father, prepare to die. Blanca and Roja. Generational story about two sisters. One of them is destined to become a swan. Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Book 1 in the fantasy series that was adapted into a television show. Epic. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. I do really just want to show you guys one specific page of this book. So I have the entire Percy Jackson series. I am in the middle of the first book. I started reading it and I put it on hold because I was absolutely loving it. And when I really love a book, I like to stop and save it for later. The Hazel Wood girl goes on a journey with friends, something about her mom. Beauty of Darkness. This one is the third book in a series. The Remnant Chronicles, the first being The Kiss of Deception. I have read the first two, so I won't be saying much, but the first book is The Kiss of Deception, which is very good, and the second book was also very good, and I have no reason not to have read this. The Crown's Game. I know literally nothing about this. I know it's fantasy. That's the only thing I know about it. The Grisha Trilogy. I have started the first book on audio. This is all over Bookstagram at the moment. I feel like everybody is reading this. It's about a girl, Russian folklore. She's whisked away to the Grishaverse. Guys trying to convince her to be bad, I think. Unread at the moment. Heartless by Marissa Meyer. Queen of Hearts retelling. That's it. That's all I know. To Kill a Kingdom. A siren is trying to kill a prince. The prince is trying to kill the siren, but oops, they fall in love. The Wicked Deep. Witches killing men, I think is what happens here. Girl, Serpent, Thorn. It's about a girl who, if she touches you, she will kill you. Sleeping Beauty retelling, I think. Falling Kingdoms, the first book in the Falling Kingdom series. I think someone described this as YA Game of Thrones. The Demon King, first book in the Seven Realms trilogy, Seven Realms It's a Seven Realms novel. I'm not sure how many books are in this. I think it's more than 3. I got this because I heard if you like Cassandra Clare, then you would like this. What is it about? Something with demons, I guess. A darker shade of magic. Another scenario where I started it and I was loving it so much that I stopped because I wanted to save it for later. Kells and Antari can travel between 4 different Londons. And I believe he like steals an object on accident and it's a whole thing, sparks off a whole situation. Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, about a boy who is trying to raise one of his family members, but he raise one of his family members back from the dead, but he ends up raising the wrong ghost, I believe. Ray Bear, we have to appreciate. Hello, thank you. Yes. This is a YA fantasy about a girl who has to kill a prince. Nevermore, the first book in the Trials of Morgan Crow series. I actually saw Emma Books talk about this on her, she talked about the 3rd book in this series as one of her most anticipated reads. And then when she described this, I was very intrigued. And this is about a girl who gets whisked away by Juniper North. She's born on the unluckiest day in the world and has to like prove herself so she doesn't die. The Cruel Prince. This one is definitely one that people love or hate. So of course you have to see where you fall, but I already know Jude, Carden, Tail. I hear he's very cruel. Ace of Shades. I just know it's about a girl who goes to Vegas, something about her mom dying or being taken away, lots of magic. The House in the Cerulean Sea. Yes, I have a copy of it. It's here, I own it. Scream at me to read it, thanks. The Raven Boys, psychic, lots of boys, lots of characters. Lesbian agenda, question mark. Truth Witch, a 6-book series, or is it a 5-book series? I think it's a 5-book series about witches with all kinds of different magic. Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. Overhyped seems to be a commonly described word for this book. Class system determined by blood. Reds are the lowest. Seems intriguing enough to purchase, but is it intriguing enough to actually read? You let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I remember Googling gay fantasy books and seeing this on all these different lists. That's why I bought it. So let me know your thoughts on this one also. Furthermore by Tahira Mafi. This is about a girl who has her color removed, I think. In the Final Fantasy book that we have is A Universe of Wishes. I'm pretty sure this is fantasy. I actually specifically purchased this because there were many authors in here I have not read that I wanted to read specifically. Libba Bray, Danielle Clayton, Anna Marie McLemore, V.E. Schwab, and Rebecca Roanhorse. A lot of these are authors that I have heard a lot of good things about, and I wanted to read their short stories and see, you know, who I would want to read first. So I was almost done editing and taking care of this entire video, but I went and bought more books. So I'm gonna put them here so that this video is at least comprehensive at the time of this being uploaded. I also bought Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is about 2 guys that are friends at some point in the story. I think at the beginning they're enemies and you don't really know why, and then the book starts back over and then you see kind of how they become enemies. This is actually going to be the final fantasy book. The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin, which is about like different types of seasons, and then there's like the 5th season and it's like the end of the world, and then this book has like a second person perspective. It's kind of chaotic and end of world like. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd book in the series all won Hugo Awards, and I don't know if any author's ever done that. So of course this is very intriguing and very exciting, and I very much want to read this. I just have 3 sci-fi books here. The Martian by Andy Weir, which I know is about a guy who goes to Mars and has to like live on Mars. I think he's the only person there. We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. A boy is told that he has to push a button in order to prevent the end of the world. I do love the first page of this book so far because I read it in the store and it says, "Life is bullshit." Finally, we have Leviathan Wakes, the first book in the Expanse series, which I have no idea how many books it's going to be, but I do know that there is now a television show. I think it's been out for a while. I think this is like a space opera, which I have never read a space opera, so I feel like this one we're going to be working our way up to this one. What's funny is that in every other genre combined, I own less of those books than I do fantasy books. Hatchet, this one I read in middle school and I remember really liking, so I wanted to read it again as an adult. Technically it could be a read book, but I haven't read it since I was like 12 years old. The Catcher in the Rye, which my sister gave to me, and I've seen a lot of reviews for it lately that say like this is fine for the time, but it sucks now. Makes me less interested in it, but I own it, so let me know your thoughts. And I have some non-fiction books. So I literally only have 4 non-fiction books in my entire possession. It's Not You, 27 Wrong Reasons That You're Single, which I read a little bit of. I mean, if you've never heard of this, because I don't know how popular this is, but it just basically like makes you feel okay with being single, which how many pieces of media are there out there that are just about being single? Then I have Just Mercy, which is a memoir. It's about a lawyer who started, it's about Brian Stevenson, who started the Equal Justice Initiative, which is one of the things they do is helping the wrongfully convicted. Wrongfully condemned is the word they use on the book. The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, which was purchased for work, and I do want to read it, but it's really not high on my list of priorities because most of the time I work with teams at work and we get along great, so I don't really feel like this is anything I'm gonna super benefit from. Then I've got The 4 Agreements, which my mother gifted to me and all of my siblings and step siblings because her and my stepdad wanted all of us to own this book, apparently. It just says, be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, always do your best. I'm not actually sure if this is considered historical fiction or not, and I don't have a dust jacket for it, so I don't even know what the dust jacket looks like, but it's the Da Vinci Code, which I remember seeing the movie of and being confused. So will I also be confused by the book? Hopefully less so, but I do own it. I know the concept, I know the general story, and I'm pretty sure hopefully the book is gonna be a deeper dive into it. The Book Thief, which is from the perspective of death. I literally paid $2 for this and I was remotely interested in it, and it was $2, so I was interested enough to spend $2 on it. Let me know your thoughts on this one. I'm gonna do Dystopian next. This might surprise people that I haven't read it because everybody else and their mother has read it, but I still have not read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And I haven't read it because almost every review that I have seen is negative. So I do have some in real life friends that have read it, and even they have said mixed things, but I do know Peyton Reed said that she absolutely loved it. The entire Giver quartet. So I have read The Giver in middle school and I still remember it to this day because I loved this book so much. That is why I bought the rest of the series. So I am personally interested to see what happens. I feel like most people don't even know this is a series. The Legend series. See, I do like dystopians and I'm interested in reading dystopians, but I'm not interested in reading them until COVID is over. We're currently living in a dystopian and I just don't want to, I don't want to read about a dystopian when I live in one. But I've heard good things about this, so I am interested in it for sure. And then we're gonna talk about contemporaries. Honey Girl, which I have seen amazing things about, so I am really excited about this one, so I'm probably putting this up as a higher priority. But this is about a girl getting a PhD, but then she goes to Vegas and meets some other girl. It's like girl on girl love, like super interested in this. Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. All I know is that it has a character that deals with anxiety. Heretics Anonymous, which is about an atheist guy going to a Catholic school. This next one, I'm not actually sure if it's considered a contemporary or not. I know there's a male-male relationship in here. And I know that the farther you get into the book, the more he's like getting crazier and crazier, I think. Okay, this one I guess is a contemporary. I wasn't really sure where to put it because it's a Christmas book. In the holidays, Christina Lauren, this has that person living the same day over and over again. All right, and the final category is the mystery thriller. I don't think I have any horror. I don't think I own any horror. I think horror is a genre I have very little interest in exploring. But mysteries, I do love me a good murder mystery for sure. Big Little Lies. I have seen the first season of the show. I think maybe past that, I'm not sure. I know there's like a murder at the beginning, well, but you don't know who's murdered, and then it like does that thing where it goes back in time. Yeah, I really want to read this and just see how it ends. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which was recently adapted to a film on Netflix that I have not watched. People are saying it kind of sucks. There was something on here I read that said that this was like the novel of the century, so I am still very intrigued by the book. You know, depending on how I feel about this, I might read more stuff by her, but we'll see. An Unwanted Guest. I believe this is a book where they all get trapped in a hotel and then people start dying. I feel like that's a trope I will enjoy. A Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, which is the original story in which Sherlock and Watson meet for the first time. I absolutely love most things I have seen that are some sort of retelling of Sherlock Holmes or inspired by Sherlock Holmes, or when I see Sherlock Holmes' name in a book, I love that stuff. The Secret History is a book that I read over 60% of. I was gonna leave this as a permanent DNF, but I have changed my mind. I want to finish this book just so I can know, even though I was spoiled for huge plot points in this book, I still want to see how it's executed and determine an official rating on this book, and I've already read 60% of it, so I just need to finish it. I also own The Handmaid's Tale. Yes, I've seen some of the show. I have not finished it. I'm not up to date. I think I've seen like the first 5 episodes. I do know how the book ends. Personally, that sounds like not my type of ending, but everybody says everything before the ending is really good, and like I think I can forgive a bad ending if everything before it is good, because I'm all about the journey when it comes to my books. This is about, you know, a society where women are of men and they have basically no rights. And then I actually have The Testaments, which is the sequel. I feel like I'm actually more interested in this than the first book. Literally just because I have the second book, I would want to read the first book just because I know how this ends. And I do want to read how we get to that ending, and then I am very curious what happens next, just because I know how this ends. I hope this is only like a duology. I also own You by Caroline Kepnes, and this is, of course, like the show tie-in edition, which everybody hates. We all hate it. I'm just curious the differences of the show. I've seen all of You. I've seen all of season 1 and all of season 2, so I probably would enjoy the book. The final book is The Silent Patient. This is about a woman who I think kills her husband, or maybe that's part of the plot. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I know people think she killed her husband, and then this doctor goes and meets her, and she becomes his patient, and he's like doing, I guess, some kind of character study on her. I don't know. It sounds very intriguing. I think hopefully by the end of the book, she talks and explains what happens or something. I've heard pretty good things about this, except for a couple people. So that is it. That is the last book. So please tell me out of all these books, which one is your favorite that you have read, and then tell me which one you think I should read the most, like what you think. Obviously, you probably will say whatever book is your favorite is the one I should read the most, but if you've heard of these books, if you're interested in these books, discuss it with me. My Instagram's in the description, my Twitter's in the description, and my Goodreads. Follow me, add me, all that good stuff. Bye.